Hey everyone, it's been a while. Haven't posted much this summer. Been a crazy summer for us, family-wise and stuff like that. Number of medical issues, number of projects, a number of things that had nothing to do with working in the shop. Was trying to do a fence project, do some landscaping. As I said, medical issues arose. You know, happens when you get older. It really stinks. But so anyways, there was a project that I had done started back this winter, and I never posted about it, at least on the YouTube channel. I posted it on Facebook, and it was this steel visor that I had started out of a truck hood. So just the front of a scrap truck hood. I took the section and chopped it all up and mounted it onto a scrap hood or scrap cab, top of a scrap cab, and started building this. And it's not finished, obviously. You can see I just threw it up on top of this cab for, you know, to shoot a video and see how it looks and stuff like that. And it's coming together, though. I mean, there's definitely some issues with it. It's got a dip right there in the joint, and I got to fix some things. But I wanted to, you know, update a video and get a video posted. It's been a long time, and just show something custom versus just restoring the trucks and stuff. All that's fine and dandy, but I really enjoy customizing things. And so somebody on one of the forums was talking about a steel visor. You know, are the steel visors available? Were they available? Stuff like that. And it just got me thinking, and I was like, you know, the only ones I'd ever seen were the fiberglass ones, and whether a steel one was available or not, I had never seen one. So I was like, you know, and I just was looking at the truck shape of the hood and stuff right here, and was, you know, like, I bet you could take that and make it look like a visor, and then it would also have the body lines of the hood, you know, up there on the roof. I'm not a huge fan of that center bump of the hood up on the roof, but you know, it's not done, so I still have some work to do. But I wanted to shoot an intro here to the video and just kind of update you, because it was all done in the winter, and it's now, you know, almost end of summer, late August, cloudy, rainy, windy day today. But you know, update a video, get it all edited, and upload it for you, so you can kind of see, you know, kind of, I don't know how my silly mind works sometimes when I look at shapes and stuff, and you know, kind of when I did the tailgate roll pan and stuff like that, just, you know, things like that I see and try to do. And I kind of thought of this, and I was like, okay, I gotta try it, and it just drove me crazy until I did. So got the video all shot and a lot of the work done. Obviously it needs to be finalized, but just wanted to, you know, show it to you and see what y'all think, and, you know, feedback, whether you like it, don't like it, hate it, you know, whatever. I don't know if I'm gonna run it on any of my trucks. It just was an idea I wanted to try. So thought it was pretty cool, something unique, and, you know, something that definitely looks like it belongs on the truck as far as, you know, the correct shapes and stuff. Whether these trucks look good with a visor or not, that could be another debate. I don't really care one way or another. Just wanted to try and make it. So anyways, I'll get the video going here for you, and check it out, see what you think. So the intro part of this video was saying how I'm gonna build a visor out of a front of a hood. And you know, if you've, you know, seen the beginning of the video and watched to this point, then you're probably interested in how I did it, all that kind of stuff. If you're seeing this video, that means it actually worked and that I didn't screw it up. But as far as that's concerned, this is what I have so far. It's just the front of the hood chopped off, and don't worry, the hood was a hood that was in bad shape. It had delatched during when it was the truck was driving, and had folded up over the hood, or over the cab of the truck. So the hinges and all the area back here were all buckled, and it was all crumpled at the firewall. So this hood wasn't really salvageable. It wouldn't have been one that somebody was going to save and try to use. Maybe somebody out there would have. I wasn't. It's my hood. This is what I'm doing. So, anyways, but I mean, just look at it. Doesn't it look like a visor? I mean, you can kind of see it. It looks like it. But I'm gonna do a lot of cutting on this thing, modify it, obviously shrink it down because it's larger than the roof of the truck is, wider wise anyways, and then also need to slim it up some, just too chunky. But when I started looking at the roof visors, I was like, man, that really does kind of look like one. So I'm gonna try it, see how it goes, and hope you enjoy. It's been a while since I did something custom and everything, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. I kind of like this raised up part of the hood here, where you get this body line that comes up. So if I can, depending on how far back this sits on the roof or how far it comes out from the roof line, I'd like to try to save some of this body line and also use this as a way for the air to get out from the top of it. So air comes in underneath as you're driving, and then be able to get out the top back here over the top of the roof. I think that would be pretty cool. Also utilizing the body lines from the hood that would then carry up into the truck, up to the roof. But I don't necessarily know if I want them to match up perfectly with the hood below, or if I'm gonna shrink them and bring them in, and maybe shrink this section up here and leave all of this middle the way it is, including this nice identifiable, roof bump, or not roof bump, but hood bump here in the center. So do we have the hood bump on the hood and then also up on the roof, or do we just eliminate that, chop this out and chop this in half and bring that together and shrink up this whole piece by taking that out and just having this be flat? So kicking around a couple different ideas there, trying to come up with something that will look good on the roof of the truck, but will also look good going with the hood and stuff, and not being that, like I said, trying to make it not look like a chopped off the front of a hood and threw it up on the roof. So anyways, I keep working here, get some layouts here, and try to come up with some ideas. So I just got done measuring the roof of the cab, and that is at 65 inches wide. And when I come over here and measure out this thing, we're at 76 inches. So that's a lot longer than the cab of the truck. I already knew that, but I wasn't sure exactly where. So first thing I need to do is find center line of this thing, so I know right where my dead center is. And I mean, for the most part, you got that right there with that body line on the hood, top of the hood, but kind of want to make sure that is true. All right, so after finding center line, I'm going to come out here 32.5 inches. 32.5 inches this way right here. 32.5 on this side. And that just gives me an idea where the roof is going to fall, basically underneath this thing. So if I was to just set this up on the roof of the cab, it would just, it would be overhanging that far on each side, and look stupid. So gonna keep taking a few measurements here and there and trying to come up with a plan for how wide, how high I want this thing to sit on the side of the truck, and, you know, come down as a visor. Also, what angle do I want? Do I want it facing down? Do I want it coming straight out? Do I want a combination of a little bit of both? You know, and just try to come up with that. And then I also need to see how much of this I want to take out of here. Do I just want a little sliver when it's all said and done? Do I want it to be a little bit bigger so it kind of comes out and then, you know, dives down like the hood does? Um, or do I just want a little bit of this to dive down, this to come down like this, and then this to cut back just a little bit, maybe half an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch of this left is all, you know, coming around this way. So I got to dig into that a little bit more, come up with a plan, keep looking at the side profile of the cabs and try to see which way I want to go with that. Obviously, beginning of the video, if you saw that, you saw which way I went. So you already know the future. So something I like to use versus traditional tape measure is a fabric tape measure for curves and working with metal and stuff like that, and just doing odd shaped pieces. I just went over and measured the roof of the cab, and because it's on a curve as well, I can just bend it over that curve and I can get a pretty accurate measurement of, you know, 2 inches, which then I brought back here and I transferred it onto here. And now, no, this area right here didn't need to be bent or didn't need to be curved, but it just, you know, it makes it so much easier. I could use this tape measure and go, okay, it's 2 inches, and just go like this, and then run along and make my mark. Now that I have a straight, I'm working against a straight line again. But it had that curve gone, if that 2 inches had gone, you know, over this ledge, I still could mark where 2 inches falls then. So I've gone ahead and I've transferred the 2.5 or the 2 inch mark up here. I've also copied it onto here. I'm trying to just get I don't know that that's where I'm going to cut it. I'm just trying to get an idea of what I want it to look like how much of this do I want exposed and on this, you know, up on the roof. I know I don't want this huge lip underneath here anymore, but I kind of want at least the curved over, rolled over look with it coming down a little bit. And to give a nod to what this was before. You're not going to realize that it was the hood necessarily when it's up there as a visor, but it's going to look, you know, it's going to follow the body lines and the shape and the look of the hood, so that when you look at the truck, it looks like it's supposed to be there, and it's not just some aftermarket piece you threw on. It's the same concept that I did with the tailgate roll pan. I used so you got a tailgate sitting there like that, and you see that the top of the tailgate has that stamped spike or spear or whatever in it. I chopped the top of the tailgate off, flipped it upside down, and stuck it up underneath the tailgate on the back of the truck. And it almost matches the contour of the back of the bed sides really, really well. You have to bologna slice that. You have to squish it in, do a lot of, you know, customizing to it and everything. I chopped in a license plate, you know, section right in the middle. There's a slideshow on the channel that you can go check out. It doesn't have a lot of views yet and stuff like that. I don't know if, you know, just because it's a slideshow, if it's not, you know, very popular. It's poorly done, you know, because it's one of the first videos I did. I'm trying to get better at these things and stuff, so I apologize. Everything's not, you know, professionally done or looks really good or whatever, and, you know, edited great, or, you know, even me not talking as good as, you know, communicating everything very well. But, you know, the slideshow at least shows you how I did it, the steps and stuff like that. If you like it and you don't want to just go buy a, you know, stamped roll pan that everybody else has, you can make one out of the top. If you have a spare tailgate, or you go find a tailgate on marketplace that, you know, is kind of beat up and banged up a bit and doesn't, you know, it's not really a good tailgate anymore, you can straighten that back out, chop that piece off. You could bologna slice it, metalwork it, make it straight again if it's really bad, and then make your own roll pan and stuff. And so that's what I did. And I may redo that slideshow, do some audio with it and stuff, and maybe try to make it a little bit better, because I think if more people saw that, you know, as an idea out there, it's kind of the same thing with this hood visor thing. You know, you can create some things out of the same body panels that you might not have realized, and then it looks like it belongs on the vehicle, and stuff. So that's kind of the idea here. That's what I'm trying to do with this. I'm gonna keep working, stop talking, and try to get some more work done. But those are some things that if you hadn't thought of it, maybe you could try out and stuff. There's also one more quick thing. There's also on that same on the channel, there's a slideshow of taking the Ford tailgate and making it say F100 instead of Ford. So with the factory stamping, which those are the type of custom tricks I like to do because people don't always notice it. They don't always realize it. I had so many people come up and look at the tailgate and not even see it, and then I'd have to point it out to them and say, "What does that say?" And they'd actually say, Ford." And you're like, "Does it really say Ford?" And they look at it again. And they're like, "Oh, whoa, it says F100. Where did you get that?" And stuff. And then I have to go and explain, that I actually made it and how I made it. So, which was fun. I mean, I find that stuff entertaining and fun to do because your eyes are tricking you because it looks correct, but yet it's not. So those are the custom sides. Those are the custom tweaks I like to do. I can get pretty wild and crazy with my custom stuff too, but I'm more into trying to just make something look like it's supposed to be there, more so than being crazy and wild and stuff. So if you're into crazy and wild, I know there's a lot of guys out there that are doing some really amazing stuff, and you can probably go check their channels out and see some just amazing things, and everything. And I'm still learning. I'm still getting into some of that stuff. I have a spoiler I made for my car that's behind me here. Some things like that are all sheet metal and everything is going to be completely blended into the body and stuff. So that's a little more unique and stuff that I've done. But anyways, like I said, need to shut up and get back to work. All right, I got some marks here done on the hood. Hopefully this will help kind of describe my train of thought on this and what I'm going to attempt to do on here. I'm going to follow this line around like this and shrink up this section. And then it's going to be the same idea up here, but because these are two different pieces, I'm going to separate it, take that front section of the hood off, and then I'm going to chop this back right to here and come up to this point and chop it down that line, leave all of that, and then come over here and do the same thing where I chop this down and chop it right here, cut this section off. And what that will do is it'll allow this section here to slide up underneath the hood right here, this section coming down. So this will look like an overbite coming down over this section, but it should tie in to this point right here. And what it would do is it would save this body line that I like of the hood and bring it bring it down and into this piece more. And so, I can do one of two things. I can chop this and separate it and then just chop the front off of here and weld it onto here. Or I can do it the way I'm saying and do that. And I think saving this piece as one section will create the rigidity that a visor would need, because you got all that force coming up the windshield. You want this piece to be strong enough to handle that and not blow up or rip out and stuff. So I like using this piece versus just chopping it off and chopping off the front and then re-welding it to here. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing, but I really like the shape and the profile of this already, so I don't see any reason to remake it or anything. So maybe just, like I said, chopping it and doing what I said, doing that. So I'm gonna have to probably flip this over, get a bunch of inner structure cut out of it, so that I can actually deal with just the sheet metal and I'm not fighting the inner structure. All right, so now enough of the inner structure is removed. We can see the spot where the section is comes together here, and like I said, I think I'm just going to cut this off, and I probably will just cut it off right here on the inside, so it gives me a nice straight line to follow along with, and then use that piece as my structure because it's got all these nice bends in it already. And I'll just clean up, or well, I'm probably going to end up chopping all this off and follow the line I did already on the outside. But it gives me a nice sturdy structure and bends. And then once I weld this back together, that the welds will obviously, um, you know, be cleaned up on the outside, but on the inside, I don't need to necessarily clean them up as well, and those welds can help reinforce it too. So just keep chopping it into pieces. And there we go, 2 pieces. Now see, this piece is completely rigid, doesn't flop at all, doesn't really lose any of its rigidity being sitting there by itself. Where this piece is completely floppy, and I got to be really careful that I don't end up folding it. So I probably need to get my other parts holder. So this is kind of the idea I'm going for, but I'm going to cut this section up to here, and then cut this section over here up to here, and then this will come down and meet up with that better, because that will let this sit down versus being raised way up like it is right now. So I need to make some measurements on this, transfer this drawing, and then when I make this cut, I'm going to probably have to pie cut this a bit so I can get the transfer into there, and so this will lay down against it, because if I leave this just straight, it's going to want to keep this up off of here. So I need to make sure that that rolls into there better. But it's shrinking this whole thing down to not look like the hood anymore, but give you that idea of the shape of the hood. All right, so here's a perfect spot in this to show you what not to do and then how to probably have to fix it. So I got ahead of myself a little bit too far on this, thought I knew what I was doing, and made a cut that I probably shouldn't have cut. So anyways, as far as the center line, I've now got the 2 sections cut apart, got them clamped back together, and they're overlapped. So now my center line's still right there in the middle, right where it should be. My clamps are holding it here, and I was saying before that I thought I was going to have to cut this and bring it back and all this stuff, and I don't need to do that. I got ahead of myself overthinking it and thinking I would have to do that, but this all lays flat, so it's going to be just fine and comes down like this and overlaps all the way down here. So only thing I have to do is probably just cut along that line and weld these two together if I want to, or just do a butt lap right over the top of that and weld those in. This is going to require some trimming to make this piece fit nice and keep that nice transition bend that looks so good on the front of the trucks. But here's where I got ahead of myself. So thinking that I had to make that cut, I went ahead and did it, and then realized my mistake, obviously too late, and now I have this weird funky gap. So I will probably have to just weld this back on and then do my weld here and stuff. So, um, you know, but mistakes happen. I mean, this is how we learn. So, you know, I mean, I still make mistakes all the time, and it's just you just got to figure out how to learn from them, and then hopefully you take your time the next time and not do that. So, um, but anyways, this should not have finished. This should not affect the finished product. It's just going to be, two pieces of sheet metal butted up to each other, re-welded back together, and then overlapping and welding these back together, body working it out and stuff. I still have to chop off, a good section of this somewhere in this area or somewhere up here, depending on which way I decide to, if I decide to shrink up the this body line some, or if I decide to shrink up this area some. So this may not be as a big of a deal once I get this, shrunk up, chopped out, and reworked and everything. But, we make mistakes. Just try not to and try to keep moving forward. All right, so got it, some of it into bare metal, most of it into bare metal. Got it trimmed up to fit along that front piece really nicely now, and really happy with the way this is looking and coming along this line here. It's pretty hard to even see it. So I'll probably tack this into place, get this little strip re-cleaned back up that I chopped off, and get that laid up here and clamped into place as well. Tack that back on. And then once those two pieces come back together, I'll probably get a measurement drop down from about somewhere in this spot, probably about 3/4 of an inch, I'm thinking. Trace that line all along that, chop that off. So this just comes down and turns and has that, 3/4 of an inch drop down right there. And then still got to figure out how to transition these two back together. That's not really that big of a deal on this side. It's going to be, so this is a better view over here, since I didn't mess this side up when I cut it. So this piece coming down like this, the visor is going to be slimmed up. So, how do I want to transition this cut? Do I want to pie cut this, bring this back more, curve it around, do something that looks more like a visor because this is coming down, go ahead and bring this back, or just kind of bring it down like that. There's a bunch of different ideas that, and stuff. And I may take a look at some visors, some traditional visors and stuff, 50s visors, 60s visors out there on the internet, and see what they look like and stuff, and just, maybe marry some of the ideas together. But yeah, it's it's getting there. It's definitely been a little bit of work to get to this point. Not bad, but I really like the fact that I'm keeping these body lines on it too. At the time right now, got the big bump over there in the center of the hood. That is for now going to stay. I haven't decided to take that off yet. If I get it up on the cab of the truck and I don't like the look of it, then maybe I take it off. Just smooth that out, slice that, roll the metal down, and just take it off of there. But knowing how these things look and how body lines flowing through a vehicle can look and stuff, I think that's going to look okay. So we'll see as we get there. Yeah, but I'm gonna probably be done with this evening, and then get back on it again here soon, and keep metalworking it, and look at the different designs, and then come up with something, and hopefully it turns out. I hate to waste time on something, but I'm not above admitting, hey, it just doesn't look good. But some people might like it and say, hey, I really like that. I'm going to make one. I want to, I'm glad you did that. I'm glad that you showed how to do it, and I'm going to try it. I never even thought about it, or something like that. And that's kind of what this is about, is that I thought of it, try it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, okay, no big deal. If it does and it's cool, right on. Um, Sometimes I can't see something. I can see it in my head what I want to do, but I have no idea what it's really going to look like when it's done and stuff. So, I know there's guys out there that, they know exactly what they're going to do. They can see it. They know what it's going to look like, and they're perfectly happy forging forward, and putting it on the car and welding it on the car and be done with it. I take a little bit different process to it all and stuff, and I'm sure a lot of you out there do the same. But you know, I'm all about ideas and sharing ideas and sharing how I do something, but it might not work for everybody. And I watch a lot of different people do body work and metal work, and and they're creating and doing stuff, and I'm like, oh no, why did you do that? Oh, that doesn't look good or whatever. But in the end of the day, it's their vehicle, it's their project, and if they like it, then I'm all for that. That's exactly what I'm for. Is that getting out in the garage, getting out in your shop, being creative, building something, doing something, and getting off the screen and just and get out there and be creative and build something. So um, I've loved working on cars, most of my life. Um, as long as you're not trying to like keep them running and drive them and work on them, that's a whole different story. I grew up that way. I remember working out in the snow under a tarp with my dad trying to fix the family. I think it was a 72 Ford LTD. Water pump went out. Got to fix it. Got to drive it tomorrow. You got to get to work. And yeah, that's not fun. That's not the part I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Being creative, having fun, making something, having a project car that you don't depend on as your daily driver, and if it becomes your daily driver after you've gotten it done, or if you get it to a certain point and it's reliable, then cool. I drove a '69 Ford pickup for almost probably 8 years every day. Loved it. I absolutely love driving that old F250 on the highway, 70 miles an hour, side roads, back roads, whatever. Didn't matter. I love driving that truck. Still have it. It's out back. That's a little bit about me, but I don't know that anybody really cares. So that's fine by me. Everybody's got their own story of what they're doing for work and how they're working these days and stuff. And so my video cut off the other day, right when I was talking about work and stuff and what I do. But you know, work is boring. This is fun. So enough about that. I don't really care. I'm sure nobody else really cares out there either what I do for a living. But as far as what I like to do, this is what I like to do. So I've spot welded everything on to this piece now. Spot weld those two together, and I pretty much have decided that I'm going to keep a 1/4 inch lip down here on the front. So this is 1 inch tape. So it gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I decide I want more, or to roll the edge, or weld like a 1/4 inch rod to it or something to reinforce it and give it a finished looking edge. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here and keep moving forward on here. But that's the line I think I'm gonna go with for now, and then reassess. I still need to determine here on the side over here and stuff. So just keep working on it, figuring it out. So I'm going to most likely chop the top off of my parts truck and bring it in here, and the roof, and bring it in here and set it up on something to work on, and then put this up on top of it and start getting a real feel for how it's going to fit. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and keep moving forward, like I said, and we'll show you all that in a minute here. Start getting the grinder out and cut away. Yeah, so if you see this profile here is really starting to look good. At least it does to me anyway. So where it's coming down, sloping back like a visor could, and then going up like this, like the top of the visor is perfect. So now it's just a matter of getting it onto the roof of the cab and seeing how I want it to transition back and come back into the cab. And then also, like I said before, that it's too wide. It needs to be cut back this way. All right, so I've made some decisions on this thing, trying to come up with a plan for how to, one, shape wise, how to form it to the roof of the truck, and then two, how to fasten it to the truck. So I went ahead and split it right down here. I also split it off to one side of the middle. I don't have to just split it over here again to bring that side in. But it's starting to come together, or I'm starting to formulate a plan here where the side of it here is probably going to come out as straight as possible, at least parallel with the roof or the top of the door coming out like this. This is going to have to be cut, obviously, to follow the shape of the door so the door can open and close. And then I'm going to try to utilize this roof structure here that I've chopped off my parts truck, and probably cut a section out of this pillar that will basically be a perfect template or a perfect match for the truck I'm bolting it onto. So if we chop this out right in here and then up here higher, and that's where we bolt this to, then this can be bolted to the truck with kind of a hidden connection, because those screws should be able to be on the inside of the door frame. You know, as I go along and be able to create this and stuff like that, it'll probably be more clear as we go. But that's kind of the plan for now. But as I build things, especially when it's custom, they always change. It's always subject to change. But you can see how this cut here how much it's overlapping. It's overlapping by a good 3-4 inches, and then it's still overhanging the roof over here, so we still need to come in even more. And then I still have to figure out how I want to shape this to the roof. Do I want this curve right here coming all the way up right like that and coming down? Just got to figure that part of it out. This is the cut that I was talking about, right down the center, or not down the center, but off to one side of the center. I'm probably going to take this section out of the hood here, and close this together so that this shape still stays in the visor, but it's smaller. So it doesn't look, it'll mimic what the hood looks like on the front of the truck, but it doesn't look exactly like the hood on the front. And that's kind of the same thought over here, because this shape is on the hood, but now it's shrunk this way, brought over this way. It's just going to mimic the hood versus looking identical to the hood. And then the same thought here. So I haven't chopped this one yet. Was trying to really see how these all turned out, what they look like, and then also how it overlaps, because basically this will just have to be chopped. Wherever this ends up, I'll chop this right here, and then butt weld these back together. But I have a feeling that this is going to go in even more that way, just because of how far out. That's not gonna work. So yeah. So anyways, just continuing to work along here. I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew this from here, bring this one over the top, and see, so I can scribe this line and get it straight, because I'm not trusting that this tape went straight or is going to be good over this curve. It tends to want to wander once you get around this curve. I trust this line, but I'm not trusting around this curve. And I want these two pieces to meet back up really nicely, since that's going to basically be the new peak, the new center coming off this one. So got to unscrew that and then overlap it and see if we can get a nice connection there. All right, so here we go on the cut now, and what that would look like instead of the wide section. It's going to be more just a narrow little bump down the middle that gives a nod to the hood and the shape of the hood and stuff. These two will obviously have to be joined back together, re-welded up. But yeah, that's kind of more the idea of what I was thinking. Gives it just a little bit of rigidity right there in the middle of the sheet metal panel. Gives it a little bit of body line shape and a nod to what the to the hood. Still keeping this ridge coming around, going into this one. The front still has the curve over coming down, and I think earlier in one of the video I said this was going to be 1/4 inch, and I misspoke. That's going to be 3/4 inch. That's why I cut it with 1 inch, oversized at the moment. Go back and trim that down or roll it, or like I said, put in a 1/4 inch round rod going all the way across to help the rigidity of that. But anyways, this was where I wanted to get to, and start tacking these pieces back together, especially this one, so that I can keep this somewhat straight and not lose the spacing and the overall shape to that. I really like that it's got a gradual curve to it. It's not like the roof where the roof really curves. This is more of a straight across piece. When I look at other visors for this year of truck, it seems like they were more straight on it. So I'm trying to do a more period correct look to it. If it was too curved, I don't know if it would look period correct and correct for the truck. So trying to keep that in mind, trying to keep that, look and stuff. So you can see the side profile there. So just a quick tack job on that, just to hold this back in together and back in place. Nothing too exciting, but does the job. Keeps it held together. Think I'm going to undo this piece next. Start working on it, trying to fit it up better, fit it up nicer to the other panel, and also figure out where exactly it's gonna sit. Hopefully the camera will pick this up. So visors coming in here and meeting up with this roof line pretty good. It's not perfect. I do have to shape this a little bit, but that line right there is almost coming right in perfectly. I made a little just relief cut for the drip well right here, and that allows this to come back and snug up tighter. And now this is almost perfectly in line with this right here. And this is what I was talking about in the other video or earlier, is if I can tie into this structure right here on this scrap roof, when I either screw this to this, make a bracket on the backside and screw it to it, and then cut this out like this, these two pieces, or this piece right here, can now become part of the structure that holds it to the other roof, because this shape will perfectly match, you know, and be a pre-made bracket or pre-made, you know, molded piece to fit in, and you know, then you could screw into here and be hidden in the door frame. As long as the door isn't too close in this area, you know, and it doesn't affect any of the opening and closing, you should be able to put two screws in here and hold this piece in, and then this piece is tied into the bracket in the back, and then it's all completely hidden fasteners. Got to keep moving forward. That was just a real quick, you know, little relief cut, little, you know, chop there, and it almost is is almost perfect. I was just trying to take a little bit off and see how it lines up, and it nearly came out exactly correct. So that's pretty cool. Every once in a while, it makes me look like I know what I'm doing. All right, it takes a little bit of time to get these clamps into place because I have to work between the two panels. I gotta fish them down through here, put it in, loosen them as all the way as I can, slide it all the way up, and then retighten them. So that's what I did, was I just kept moving them, you know, into place till I got to this one, and didn't cut these welds here because that space and that gap was okay, and it wasn't pulling here, it was pulling up there because the seams were so tight. So now with those in place and holding that metal up, I left these in place over here with just those little tacks. I didn't want anything pulling in anywhere, any direction. I'm gonna only do a few spot welds, nothing that's going to create a ton of heat in the panel. So keep the panel cool as possible between the tacks, and not worry about trying to weld it up solid, because this is all still in mock-up. So I still may decide that I need to cut that back apart, cut something else back apart. So right now it's going to all stay in just tack welds. All right, so I took some acetone, wiped all those lines off of that, and then I took my square edge here and put it right up underneath this roof edge, which is parallel with the door, and I just brought it all the way out, and that gives me a nice, perfect, matching parallel line with the door coming out. And then I just dropped it down a little bit and marked another one below it, because I don't really want it this high yet. It might end up being that high, but I want to come it right, bring it right down to the bottom of this edge here, and just take off that little bit and see what that does for it. Being that I just cut the roof off that other truck, I had to pull the back window and I had to pull the front window. And this truck had the stainless steel trim that went around the drip edge, everything. And then it also had the stainless steel trim around the windshield. And I talked about earlier wanting to possibly cut a curve in this. So this is the roof visor just flipped upside down. I've shortened it up I've made both sides the same now, made the cuts here and here so the drip rail can fit in. Made this the same size on both sides, and also split it and tacked it back together. This is just, you're just looking at the underside of it. So while it was screwed to that roof over there, I went ahead and I drew, got up underneath of it and traced this line, but it's really, inaccurate. And so I was like, how do I make this nice curving radius on this, uneven panel? And I remembered I had the stainless steel trim from the windshield. So I just put the top piece back together, and I'm going to trace that across here. But I don't know that that's where I'm going to cut it exactly, but at least it gives me a nice, crisp, clean, arching line to follow. And so if I move it back, move it that way, or, whatever, I at least have a nice line now. So that's, a little tip for this as far as, trying to make this somewhat even across and curved and everything. I've made sure that this line, this part right here, is the same distance here as over there. Those two distances are exactly the same. All right, so I made this line all the way across, following that trim piece. But then I also I laid this ruler right down in here like this and put it up against the body line, and then I drew a straight line out so I could come out and radius this way like that. Did that on both sides. Curve has been cut. As you can see, it leaves a nice big gap under there for the air to escape coming up the windshield. That'll all be reinforced so it's not floppy. Right now it's still got a decent amount of rigidity to it for just being sheet metal, because of the keeping those hood stampings in it as much as possible gave it some rigidity there. But anyways, I think it's looking pretty good. I mean, that's looking less and less like a front of a hood and more like a visor. I still gotta probably round that section off right there. It's not just gonna come back and sharply end like that. The screw holes were right there, so I didn't want to cut them yet until I know for sure everything else is lining up good. So I just left that kind of just coming off it as a squared off chunked end. I still need to make some decisions right here on this section. Do I want to angle it any? Do I want to keep it the same distance coming down? Do I want to bring it up some? Right now I'm really torn. I want to look at it on an actual truck before I make any more decisions about shrinking that up or leaving it the way it is. But the profile going across is looking pretty good. It's got a little bit of a curvy wave to it because of having to cut it and splice it and put it back together. So I'll have to, make sure that is nice and straight when before I do all my welding and, finalize it all. Anyways, it's give you the kind of the walk around preview. With it being on an actual cab, you can at least see what it's supposed to be. Like I said, I have one truck I'm thinking about that has a bunch of Bondo in the roof of it, and it still has a hood on it, so I could, potentially screw this onto that and then take a step back and see it with the hood and the visor and everything together, and then make some decisions on do I want to keep this bump right here. This is the one part I'm not positive about. I like that it gives a nod. It gives a nod to the hood and to the body styling of the truck, but it seems a little bit high, being that it's clear up above the rest of the roof line. But you know, all finished out, it might look cool. It might give it a, you know, it might look really good and stuff. I'm just not sold on that part of it yet. So, you know, I'll keep going back and forth. Like I said, as I move along, as I do things change, and you know, maybe we just take this and slice it right along here, and then make this go down. You know, have the bump come up, but then have it go back down to meet, so it's not, you know, so up here. It kind of just blends back into this panel. It was something I was thinking about doing with the rest of this anyways, was do I want to kind of just blend these down into this panel, just bologna slice this, and then, you know, pancake them down. But I don't think that one's not a problem to me in my eyes. That one just seems to stick up a little bit too much. But anyways, I'm gonna probably be done for the evening with this and pick it back up again as I get time, and just keep plugging away at it. Last night I posted some pictures on some truck clubs and stuff like that I've been on for a long time, and just kind of posted a few pictures of the Visor and asked some opinions and stuff like that, and just trying to get some outside, you know, critique of it, you know, because sometimes you get an idea in your mind and you're thinking, oh yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to do and stuff like that. And other times you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just know that I want to try this and stuff. And so the Visor was something that, you know, when I looked at the side of the hood and just looked at the shape of the hood, I was like, that looks like a Visor to me, or it looks like it could be turned into one. So posted some things, some pictures and stuff, and then asked the guys to, you know, give me some feedback and stuff. And they pretty much, you know, besides just giving me thumbs up and, you know, I like it, the kind of the consensus was that this right here definitely needed to be shrunk down. So I went ahead and, you know, and I already been saying that in the videos, so I was pretty sure I needed to cut this, just wasn't sure of the shape. And so I went ahead and chopped it off, brought it all the way back, and I need this tab to stay here because that's how I'm planning on really securing it to the cab of the truck. If I need to put a screw or two up here in the roof, I will, but I'm trying to limit that to hopefully just one if I have to do any. This was going to be more like a hook that kind of went around the drip rail. And then this tab right here, I'm going to make a tab out of this actual door frame right here, and then have a plate welded to it that comes in behind here so that I can screw this to it. And then I'm also going to reinforce all of this back here with plating. So, you know, I didn't want to chop. That's why this is still here. That's why I didn't want to chop this off. So I kind of just shaped it a little bit, gave it a little bit of a organic feel to it, and, you know, gonna leave it on there. So, but that's kind of the update for this side and what I've done so far with it after posting some pictures online of the idea and what I'm trying here. This up here, I'm just going to try and shape it and round it. That's what the black is for, just kind of giving a visual of just trying to round it, make it look a little less chunky, squared. This body line is working out really nice, going right into the hood, so don't want to take anything away from visually, so just trying to make that look a little bit softer and not so squared. But yeah, so I'm happy with this. This was kind of where I thought I was going the whole time. I kept looking at it in different angles. I didn't mind the hang down section, and I wanted the hang down. I kind of liked the curve in the front that was dropping down. I think you can still see it over there on that side. I kind of liked it, but it just wasn't fitting with the rest of the truck and the rest of the way it looks. And it was making this just seem super, you know, huge and stuff. So, anyways, I had in previous recordings of this, I have, you know, talked at great lengths about this spot right here. So I don't need to anymore because I finalized it. I like it. That's where I'm going with. This is parallel with that line for the most part. It's coming out. The visor really looks like a visor now. It's lost a lot of weight. It's lost a lot of girth, a lot of, just chunky bulkiness to it. So I'm happy with this.